Hi, it's Lisa Cuneo, and welcome to my scrapbook table, where today is Scraplift Crafternoon, and we are scraplifting this layout from Scraps by Jules, and I'll have her information in the description box below. Here's a closer look at it. She's got these vertical torn pieces. Her photo is toward the left, and then she used tags. I did not. But I have more photos than she did, so I didn't have quite as much room. Here I was deciding what Distress Oxide inks to use, and I went with Saltwater Taffy Evergreen Bough and Speckled Egg. I'm using the Homemade with Love collection from Echo Park. It's probably a decade old. It is by Karina Gardner. I was debating which of these two background papers to use. One is more textured than the other. I opted for the smoother one. Even though the textured one is really cool, it's a little too white. So I'm tinting my texture paste. For two of these colors, I have the re-inker, and I'm sorry that I'm off camera a little bit here. I'm trying to revamp my camera setup, and I made some adjustments, and they weren't the adjustments I thought they were. Hopefully in the next few videos I'll get this figured out the way I want it. So for two of them I had re-inkers, which you get a nicer, darker color with that. But I did not have one for Evergreen Bough, so it took me some work to get that one tinted the way that I wanted it. And I do not have you watch all of that. But here I am starting with the Speckled Egg, and I used a pencil line to mark out where my photos and layers were going to be so that I could kind of work around those and not put the mixed media underneath those very much. And I end up having it in, I don't know, top and bottom a couple places, and then in the center right as well. And what I did, I wanted to layer these colors on top of one another, kind of at like offset the stencil just a bit. So I dried it with my heat tool because I really wanted to get this layout done today. I actually took these photos this morning and printed them because I wanted to include this recipe in my Christmas scrapbook for a while. And I wanted to get this done today because my son and daughter-in-law are coming tomorrow. They shouldn't be here till, I think it's probably late evening. But then they're going to be here visiting for several days, and I will be enjoying their visit and probably not scrapbooking much. So I wanted to get this one done and completed today. We had a rather quiet day. It was just the three of us, and we opened our Christmas presents from each other and had our traditional Christmas breakfast, which includes what I was making in these pictures. So I just layered this on the second color on top, offset it a bit, heat dried it again, and then I'm adding the saltwater taffy. These colors work much better together in real life than they do on screen for some reason. Some of the pinks that are in the Christmas paper, which is a Vicki Boutin one, and the colors match this like cooking collection perfectly. And I thought that worked out so well because I was cooking for Christmas morning. Anyway, they look like a much better match in person than they do on camera. And you might notice I have some magnets there from Glassboard Studio. Those were part of my gift from my daughter this morning, and I put them right to use. They hold this paper down perfectly. So there, everything's dry now, and I am deciding what torn strips I'm going to use. Jules in her layout had a wide one on the left, so I did the same. And I like that because then it clearly shows those Christmas ornaments. And I used one of the stickers from the collection, a border sticker. Actually, I used two, one on the right, that blue that's on the far right, which is kind of hard to see because it almost matches my glass board. And then the red scalloped one is also a sticker. I wanted to use this mixer paper, but the only piece I had, the mixers were horizontal, and so I just cut 2 of them, and it isn't going to matter. You only see little bits of it, but the gap will be covered by my photos. And so I was making Christmas morning orange rolls, which is one of the few actual like yeast dough things that I make and am successful at. Often if I try to make bread, it doesn't usually go very well. I am just not talented at that sort of thing. But I have been making Christmas morning orange rolls for decades, and they almost always turn out really well. And so I fussy cut a couple of the ornaments from this Vicki Boutin paper. It's the only paper I have from this collection. I think I used a few sheets of it to document last year's Christmas. Also, since I was trimming these circles out by hand, to hide any imperfections, I just went ahead and used my distress tool from MK's shop and scuffed up the edges, and that way it doesn't matter that the edges are not perfect, because they certainly are not. And I wanted, this isn't how they end. Oh, it's pretty close. Yeah, pretty close to how they end up. Not quite. I do add another bit of a green one on the far right because there's that large green one on the far left. And I wanted to bring that color through the layout. So I matted the photos as one block, first on vanilla cardstock from Stampin' Up, and then on the red that's the back of that ornament paper that is prominent. There's a sheet of recipe cards in the kitchen collection. So I trim one out, I write my recipe, and I was debating where to put it. I didn't plan very well ahead, which is kind of the norm for me. I am more a stick things down and make it work instead of planning entire layouts out. So I'm mulling it over and I'm like, I'm just going to cut this in half. And I put the bluish green part, which is the ingredient list, at the top of my layout. Actually, it moves to the left here in a moment. And then the instructions at the bottom. So way back in the mid-90s, probably late 90s, mid to late 90s, I joined one of the early message boards for scrapbooking, and it was called Scrapbook Addicts. And one year we were sharing like favorite holiday recipes. I'm not sure why, but one of the members shared this recipe for Christmas morning orange rolls. Her name, I'm pretty sure, was Callie in Oregon. I don't know where Callie is now or whatever, if she's still making Christmas morning orange rolls. I wish I had a way to let her know that I am still making her Christmas morning orange rolls. Other than a couple Christmases, one Christmas I was very ill, and one we were traveling the next day for a long trip, and I don't think I did them that year, but I have done them nearly every year since. And they are part of our traditional Christmas breakfast. So I told that story in the journaling there. I used the strip that you cut off the edge of the paper. I can never think of what that word is. Anyway, I cut 3 pieces of it to fill in the empty block, or the empty section of my photo block. And here what I'm doing is I made a mistake. Of course, at the very end of my journaling, I make a mistake. So I found a sticker on the sticker sheet that fits the spot, that covers the mistake, and fits the theme because it says sugar and spice. There is definitely lots of sugar in these Christmas morning orange rolls. You can see the top photo there is the dough ready to be rolled out with, there's some butter and then sugar mixed with some orange juice. I do cut the sugar down from the recipe and replace some of it with a stevia sweetener that I like to use. Not very much. I only replace less than probably about a quarter. It's a classic recipe. We have it once a year. It's not a big deal. I do pop up one or two of the ornaments in this little sticker as well. And anyway, then you roll them out, you cut them with I usually use a pizza cutter, which is the photo on the right. If you're seeing it close up, you can tell that I'm cutting them. And then they are on the breakfast table in the bottom left photo. So there, I've hidden my mistake. And that just about does it for this layout. The still shots are coming up. Thank you, Jules, for allowing us to scraplift you. I'm happy with how this turned out. And I did opt to go ahead and add one more sticker. It says, love to cook. And I do really love to cook. I don't like cleaning up my mess, but I do love to cook. And so there's information below for the Scraplift Crafternoon group. I hope you'll visit all of them and enjoy watching their videos and being inspired. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so glad you're here. Have a great day. Bye.